Like, this god just destroys people. The amount of healing, the amount of CC and displacement, the amount of mobility, like, he's impossible to kill. He's so slippery, he gets in your backline so easily, pushes people out of position. He's just a menace, but when you're playing as him, that's a lot of fun.
Today, we become legends.
So it's been a while since I made a video discussing my favourite gods at the moment. I usually do an update to these like every year or so. It's been like a year and a half, maybe even 2 years or something since I did a proper fun tier list. And it was on my mind recently because I watched FinoK's fun tier list video. By the way, King Arthur, completely agree, bro. Best character in the game. Fuck the haters. But yeah, that basically inspired me to do my own because it's been a while, so that's essentially what we're going to be doing today. The tiers range from chef's kiss at the top to feel good gods, can be fun sometimes, meh, which is just kind of like average, I don't really enjoy playing them that much, boring, and then uninstall if rolled in assault, which is any god that I literally just despise playing and would rather quit the game than play that god. There will be very few in here, I would imagine. Well, let's kick it straight off with Achilles. So Achilles, I'm going to put in like can be fun. I don't like Achilles that much, to be honest. His kit feels a little weird for me, mainly because it kind of feels like he has two abilities in team fights because you're just saving the execute for when someone gets low anyway, so it's not really usable until someone's in a very specific situation, and the 2 is just an extension of his other abilities essentially, so he feels a little bit like there's not enough to do on him. It's kind of a weird criticism, but I don't hate Achilles by any means. He definitely can be fun with the right build in the right circumstance. Agni, definitely a feel-good god. I love playing Agni. The bombs over walls, just so satisfying. Classic mage, really. AMC, boring as all hell. I absolutely hate playing AMC. It's tempting to put him down here, to be completely honest, but I'm going to put him here purely because he can play mid, and I do enjoy playing hunter mid sometimes, and he's one of the kind of premier hunter mids over the years. Arpoash, he's not the worst. He's unfun to play against, but in terms of just playing as him, which is what this tier list is, he's like, yeah, he's meh. I don't think he's anywhere near like Achilles in terms of fun, actually thinking about it, but he's not also AMC level. I would much rather play Arpoash than I would play AMC. Amaterasu, chef's kiss, we all know this. Amaterasu, one of my favourite gods of all time, has basically been in my top 3 favourite gods since she released. Gotten a little bit of a fall off lately because she's just kind of been power creeped by a lot of like other solo laners that have been released or have been like buffed or reworked in some way to be a lot better, and she's kind of falling off a little bit because of that, but I still really enjoy her base kit, and that visual design is just amazing. And her feels good. He's not quite chef's kiss for me. I don't play that much Anher, but he's definitely one of the more enjoyable hunters. That Pillar Impale, obviously great. Ability-based hunters are what I lean towards more than standard auto-attack hunters as well, so that helps with Anher. Anubis feels good. I enjoy playing Anubis, genuinely. He's not the best god always, but he works, and he's a lot of fun doing it, even though like he does have a lot of weaknesses, and you have to kind of play around those, especially if you're playing at a fairly high level, but he can definitely be a lot of fun. Ao Kuang, definitely a feel-good god as well, to be honest. I love a bit of Ao Kuang sometimes. Just that execute, so nice. The dragons, the different ways he's been built over the years. Just a really interesting god. I think he did well with releasing Ao Kuang. Aphrodite, uninstall. Boring-ass god to play. I'm not going to go too much into playing against them in this tier list, because it's mainly meant to be my opinion on the god itself and not playing against the god, but obviously everyone hates playing against Aphro, me of all people the most, to be honest, and playing as Aphro is pretty much just as boring. It's just less frustrating because you're the one doing the bullshit. Apollo, boring. I hate this god. The only thing that's cool about him is his mez. His 1's boring, his 3's boring, his ult's boring, and just encourages split pushing. I don't really like the god, to be honest. Arachne, uninstall. Boring ass god. 2 basic attack steroids, way too reliant on that. Just Unga Bunga W key at everyone if you don't win the game early on or get a lead, you kind of just lose. Ares can be fun. I like Ares. Definitely one of the more fun supports for me. I do like my aggressive support, so just being able to go in, just going ham with Ares, being a beads burner, it's pretty fun. Artemis, I'm going to put in can be fun. She used to be one of my favourite gods way back in the day in like 2014 when I first started playing Smite, but she just isn't that interesting, to be honest. She was a good basic character for me to like learn the game with, but there's really not that much to playing Artemis. Like in team fights, you just press Tusky, put a trap on someone, it stuns, and then press U2 and just hold down left click. She's not really that interesting of a god, to be completely honest. RTO, to play as, can be fun. I can sometimes enjoy playing as RTO, to be completely honest. She's the most frustrating thing as hell to play against, but I'm not going to be counting that too much, so I'm going to put her up here. Athena, ooh, is she feels good or is she chef's kiss? I feel like she's close to being like top tier, but she's not quite there. Athena can be really fun, but a little too reliant on the taunt for me, especially since the shield wall taunt is like usually used in conjunction, and then all you really have is a dash and then the ult, of course. I know I just described a god's 4 abilities as if that's like a downside to Athena, and that made absolutely no sense, but in my head it made sense. Atlas can be fun. I'm not the hugest fan of Atlas, to be completely honest, but the gravity pull definitely really fun. The ult's very unique as well. I like that a lot. Owilix, top tier. Owilix is so much fun. One of the best designs in Smite, objectively, in my opinion. She feels so fluid. She works really well. The feather step immunity frames, the ults for like steroid on objectives and things like that. There's so much you can do with this character and so many options you have. I really like her a lot. Baba Yaga, pretty boring. Don't really like her, to be honest. She has cool, like, stacking mechanics, I guess. The ult just feels a bit strange to pilot. Bacchus, definitely a feel-good god. I think, honestly, everyone agrees Bacchus feels good. You know, just that flop in into ult, so much burst damage, but still so much supportive capabilities and tankiness because of his one and stuff like that. Just a really fun god. Bacchusura, boring as all hell to play. Also boring as all hell to play against. It's tempting to put him down here. I really hate Bacchusura's design, to be completely honest. He's just the ultimate epitome of a left-click W character that just snowballs from early farm. He's gotten worse lately with like invade meta just being deleted from the game. It used to be really strong when you could just jump in and invade people with E-minion and stuff like that, but just in general, just delete Bacchusura. Yeah, now that I've said my piece, he's moving down here. He's a very similar case to Arachne, but not quite as bad in my opinion. Baron Samedi, straight up here. Baron Samedi, absolutely one of the most fun gods in the game. Definitely one of, if not my favorite mages, to be completely honest. Some interesting mechanics in his kit, like the Hysteria build-up that you have to manage and things like that. His abilities just all feel really good to use. The two, dude, I love Baron's 2. Like that heal and slow cleanse, so nice. And then of course the ult, you know, the turning away from people to pull more people in and choosing the target to stun it. He's just a really interesting and fun god that just feels amazing to play. Bastet, I hate this design. I hated her before the rework and I hate her just as much after the rework, to be completely honest. It didn't really do much. The new ult is very janky and strange and I just don't really like her. Bologna, straight up here. Again, like Amaterasu, they're released in the same season and they've been two of my favorite god designs ever since. Bologna, if we're ordering things, which I'm not, but I'm just going to put Bologna up there because, you know, it's Bologna. Bologna, I would say, like, used to be my favorite god of all time, but she's just fallen off a little bit in the same way as Amaterasu in that, like, there's just more interesting and more powerful things that have been added to the game or reworked or changed since she was added that she's kind of fallen off a little bit. Like, the weapon switching mechanic and stuff used to be, like, really interesting, but now we have way more interesting stuff in Smite than that, and it just kind of becomes like a passive gameplay mechanic at that point, especially when you have as many Bologna hours as I do. Cabrakan can be fun. With the damage build, Cabrakan's pretty fun. Tank Cabrakan I find not that fun, like he's a little bit boring, but when you can just jump into like one-shot someone with full damage Cabrakan, I feel like everyone loves that, so I think can be fun is perfect for that. Like with the right build, he can be fun. Camazot's boring. Just impossible to like lose lane at all in solo. I'm mainly coming at this from a solo perspective. I know he also jungles, but I play against him the most in solo because I'm a solo main, and he's just the worst. And playing as him as well is just not even fun. It's just heal uploads. You have 2 lines, which is a bit strange. So like, I guess if you're good at hitting lines, this god could be fun. The ultimate's just really uninteractive and boring. Like, it's just, I'm gonna guarantee deal this damage to you basically and not take any back. I don't know. I don't really like Kama. Cerberus can be fun. Cerberus, one of my more favorite guardians. Definitely got a lot of damage between the 1 and the 2 for sure, and like a decent solo earner because of that. Just a generally like fairly well designed kit in my opinion. Cernanos, meh. I don't really like him that much. I mean, his ult is just kind of like interesting enough, but not really because it's just a polymorph, like an AoE polymorph. Like we've seen big AoE teamfight CC ultimates before. It's nothing new really. The Shifter of Seasons mechanic is fairly interesting, which is why I haven't put him down here. Also dash cancels, to be fair. Dash cancels are pretty fun on certain. That's where you just dash through someone instantly, 180 cancel the dash and keep going at them for like AA cancels. And again, now that I've said my piece, I'm going to move this guy up, I think. He probably deserves to be in here. He can be fun in the right circumstances. Chak, perfect example of can be fun. Solo lane, bruiser / tank Chak, absolutely boring, but like jungle or mid or even solo full damage Chak, hella fun. Changa, uninstall, I hate this god. Honestly, she's very close to Afro in terms of how much I hate her, to be completely honest. Just infinite poke, infinite healing, the potential to just, if you don't have beads, delete you from the game if you ever get hit by like a 2, 3, or 4 second stun from her ultimate. Like, just a really frustrating god, and I don't enjoy playing as her either. Charybdis, meh. I mean, her auto attacks are interesting, but then they nerfed it really hard in the passive to where the interesting builds aren't even that interesting anymore because they're so, like, just balanced, I guess. I know it kind of makes sense for it to be balanced, but it's interesting when there's, like, a little bit of imbalance that is also, like, balanced by another mechanic in their kit, rather than just being like, oh, these items proc at less because we designed a god that doesn't work properly with them, essentially. Her ult feels weird. The 3 is just... I mean, the 3 is nice to use, I guess, because it's just instant immunity, but it feels a little bit bullshit to me. So, yeah, I think, meh, maybe even boring, to be honest, for Charybdis, but we'll leave it here for now. Chernobog, hella boring. There's literally nothing interesting about this god. I don't get how people play him and don't blow their brains out, to be completely honest. Chiron... Can be fun. can be fun, especially with like an ability-based build, like full ability-based. You can even go like redstone on this guy and very easily apply it and get a ton of attack speed with an ability-based build. Can be pretty strong. Kronos, meh. He's not that interesting. I like the Wheel of Time idea, and magical ADCs are pretty appealing to me, but of all the magical ADCs, Kronos is by far my least favorite. Cleaner, so I recently got into playing this god, and before I'd played her, I might have put her lower down, but I think this god's genuinely really fun. It's tempting to put her up here, but because I don't have the playtime, I don't think I'm going to put her there yet, and I'm just going to drop her here, but I really do like this god. Obviously, the wall riding, not wall riding, the wall insiding, I guess, is pretty interesting. The idea of the ult having 2 charges, really cool. You know, you can potentially ult minion waves, like Ra style with that kind of thing. Really fun with Soul Eater CAD shield builds with, like, tons of healing. The dash on Cleaner, bro, that is one of my favorite abilities in the game. I love how it's like 2 hits, you can cancel it whenever you want to, like 180 cancel it to make sure you get the cone on the buff and things like that. Just a really fun god design overall, in my opinion. Oh, but quickly before I move on, the animation on the 2, where she like spins around and throws it, that's just a sick animation. Like, the ability itself is very basic, but that animation makes me want to use it because it's just so cool. Cthulhu, meh. He's not boring, but I don't really like Cthulhu, to be honest. Like, yeah, he has a lot of stuff going for him, but it's just kind of like boring stuff. There's not too much synergy there. It's a little bit kind of all over the place. I don't know. It's a weird criticism again, but I just don't really like Cthulhu, and I can't really explain it. Cuchulainn, is he feel good or can be? I think he feels good. Honestly, I can always play a game of Cuchulainn and pretty much enjoy it, which is what I want these gods to be. Like, any god in here... Oh, actually thinking about it, maybe Anubis should be moved down after I've just said that. I think Anubis moves down 1 tier, but now every god in here, like, I'm pretty much just happy playing a game with any of these gods at any time. Obviously, these ones as well. Whereas some of the ones down here, like, I'm not always feeling an Artemis game, I'm not always feeling an RTO game, I'm not always feeling a chat game. Like, these are just something I can play sometimes and have some fun with. Cupid, hella boring, just don't really like him. He isn't a sort of ability-based hunter, but to me, he's just not that appealing. Daji, I do like. Is she up here or is she here? She's probably here. I don't play Daji that much, but she can be occasionally pretty fun. Danzaburo, hella boring, just way too many things going on in this kit that, like, aren't actually that interesting. Discordia can be fun. She's a pretty generic, like, basic burst mage, to be completely honest with you, and most of those will probably end up going in this tier just because there's a lot of them, and, like, Discordia is pretty much interchangeable with any other burst mage for me. Like, they don't really vary in playstyle that much. Erlang Shen, straight up here. I love Erlang Shen, always have. Well, actually, I say always have. His release, I was a little bit skeptical on him, and it potentially was because he was so overpowered, and also seeing play, like, more so in support than he was in, like, solo and then jungle nowadays. I mean, it's been jungle for a long ass time, his main role, but back at release, he genuinely was like main solo and secondary support. But yeah, just overall, a really fun god. The turtle cancelling, the one, just a really fun ability. The dog was more interesting before they decided to gut it for no reason, but the dog is still nice to have. Eset... can be fun. Again, another fairly generic mage. She's more interesting than, like, Discordia, but I don't think she deserves to move up a tier because of it. I do like her ult, though, in terms of it being, like, effectively the ultimate objective securing the entire game, because it, like, heals your team back up to full after you've done the objective and burst it for, like, 2,000 health. Like, absolutely a lot of fun with that ability. But the rest, not really that fun. Fafnir... Fafnir is just a feel-good god, to be honest, especially in dragon form. Like, AoE coercing your whole team, burning down objectives and phoenixes, there's nothing like it, really, and Fafnir is like the only god that can do it, and I find that really interesting. Fenrir can be fun, I guess. I'm considering moving him down here, given they're trying to gut him out of the support role, and that's the main reason Fenrir was fun for me in the first place, but we'll leave him here for now. We'll see. Freya... probably in can be fun. Freya obviously is a very volatile god that's like sometimes really fun, sometimes not fun, sometimes broken, sometimes trash. She's just all over the map, and occasionally in Freya's history I've had a lot of fun playing her, so I think I have to put her in this tier, even though right now I'm not really that into Freya, to be honest. Ganesha can be fun. Fairly basic Guardian design. I do like that he has Old War's ultimate though, that's pretty cool. Geb, definitely up here, potentially up here. One of the first supports I ever picked up, and I still play him a lot to this day. Just a really fun pick overall. Like, the ult into 2, the shield, obviously, saving your teammates from things that just absolutely would have killed them. It's just quintessential support gameplay, and I think I do definitely prefer Geb to, like, Fafnir, Athena, Bacchus, these kind of gods down here, so I think he deserves to be up there. Gilgamesh... I'll say can be fun in terms of playing as him. He's incredibly frustrating to play against, but I'm trying not to take that into account too much, so I'm going to put him here. The dropkick really does make me want to move him up 1 tier, just because dropkick is like one of the most fun abilities in the entire game. But I don't really like the rest of his kit, it's a little strange. But then again, the one, I do like the one. It's a cool like hybrid between ability and basic attacks. Yeah, I've convinced myself into moving someone up a tier again. Yeah, Gilgamesh is going to go in here, I think. Definitely not on the level of these gods for me, but it can be pretty damn fun. Guan Yu is so boring. Like, honestly, this is another one like Chernobog where I don't understand how people can actually bear playing this god. It's just the worst. In late game team fights, you're just heal spamming pretty much. Like, Talu Assault takes so long to do anything. And, like, once you get out of the laning phase, it doesn't even deal any damage. So, like, you just sat there channeling an ability that's doing effectively nothing when you're full tank. Damage Guan Yu's a little more interesting, I guess, and I do like the ult, but Hachiman again, another fairly boring one. I do really like his dash though, so I think I'm going to move him up one tier because of that. I do like the idea that you can like aggressive dash in and be rewarded with a stun for that, but then obviously your movement ability is used on getting in, so you're potentially like risking things there. Hades, meh. Really boring god. The worst to play against, but not even that fun to play as. You just 2-3 the wave over and over again. You're permanently full health. You can't possibly lose lane, but then you don't really do anything in late game team fights. Hebo, straight up here. Hebo, one of the most fun mages in the game. Potentially the most fun, to be completely honest. I made a video recently about, like, saying why high res and then the buff they gave him. People seem to take that as, like, me saying they shouldn't have done it. I think it's cool. I do like the idea, and he feels a lot better with it, but, like, they should have nerfed his damage numbers. Come on. This god is stupid, and has been stupid for a long ass time. People even haven't realized how stupid he is until now, where like he's just literally he's just 3 ults and he deletes a squishy and they can't Aegis because they're knocked up, and the hitbox for the 3 comes out fucking instantly, so there's zero way to dodge it because he just puts it on you. So like there's problems with this god, but in terms of just playing as him and rolling people, so much fun. Heim, I can take him or leave him, to be honest. The crystal mechanics are pretty cool and very high skill cap. I do like that from him. Whether or not he should be in here or like meh, I'm not really sure. Yeah, I'll put him down here. I just don't really like his 1 and his 2. They're very boring. The 3 is interesting and the ult's just like pretty cool, I guess. Like it's not got much to it, but it's pretty cool. Hell, boring. Don't know how people play this god, to be honest. Yeah, she's a stand switcher and has access to a lot of options, but like ultimately it just comes down to I'm gonna throw a healing orb or I'm gonna throw a damage orb, and it's kind of not a very fun playstyle in my opinion. You also just get dive 24/7 whenever you pick Hell in any game, because people have just got it ingrained in their mind to dive the Hell. Hera, I thought Hera was going to be more interesting than she is when they revealed her, when she was like going to have an Argus pet and stuff, but it's just like she throws it as her ult, and then the actual Argus doesn't do that much. It's merely like the ult impact and knockup that you even want from it. Could have been more interesting, and for that reason I'll put her in there. Hercules, straight up here. We all know I love Hercules, just the classic Earthbreaker, the healing 1200 from your 3, the ult doing 800 base damage for no fucking reason. Just an absolute clown of a god, but I love it. Horus, take him or leave him, to be honest. I think I'll drop him in meh. His ult's a little strange. I do like the idea of it, but it's very hard to pull off. And the fact that his 1 and 2 hit so hard early game just gives you the early game for free, and that's not even that fun. Hu Yi, he's either can be fun or feel good. I think I'll put him in can be fun for now. Obviously triple bounces are really nice to hit, but they do take a lot of skill unless you're just firing them off and trying to hit them randomly. The ult's pretty nice. I do like the idea of like stunning people into the ult. The jump feels snappy. I like this god in general, but I just don't think I like him as much as some of the ones up here. Hunbats, to be honest, has fallen off a lot for me. He's just a bit of an ult bot, and while I do like his ult, the rest of his kit is so basic and boring, it's unreal. Like his 2 literally does nothing. He just jumps up in the air and like does some cone damage. It's like the Vermanas 2 meme, where it's just Vermana 2 deal damage and then like a new god's ability with like 16 lines of text and 5 different effects. Like Hunbats is suffering from a similar thing there in terms of that he's a very old god with some abilities that are literally just deal cone damage, and I think that should be changed. Honestly, it just makes sense for the 2 to have some kind of additional effect when he slams onto the ground, like some kind of CC. I'm not sure if you want to give him more CC. Maybe it could be like a debuff or something that like reduces their protections or something, even. I don't know. Izanami, uninstall. Honestly, the most brain-dead god in existence. It's just hold left click on the wave, win the laning phase for free, and then hope you can win the team fights, but just, I hate this god. Janus, definitely up here, arguably up here. You can just make some ridiculous plays on Janus that can be so much fun, and like the ulting through a wall into immediate 2, just one-shotting someone, like the mobility he has, the objective plays you can make if you're actually communicating with your team. I think he belongs up here for me. Jingwei, boring, just you're not punished for being bad in lane. You just take damage and recall and immediately heal it off. You can just back for items really easily. She's one of the safest gods in the game, can dash out of knockups. It just doesn't really, it's not that interesting to me when I'm permanently safe. Yom, pretty boring as well. I don't know whether I want to put him down here because I have some gods I really hate down here. He should probably be in here, but like, I'm really not interested in Yom at all. His only interesting ability to me is his ult. Like, the other ones just feel a bit clunky and weird. They're very hard to get off. Kali to play as is, like, pretty feels good. I do enjoy playing Kali. To play again, she's the worst. She'd be like down at the bottom of the tier list because she literally just holds left click on your team once she gets to late game and plays safe early because of that. But actually playing as Kali, in terms of the similar reason for the person next to him, Gilgamesh, I do enjoy playing Gilgamesh but hate playing against him. Same thing with Kali. Also, it's nice that Kali's just like permanently broken, a bit like Hebo, and no one really realizes it. Like, if you get to late game with either of these two gods, you can just win the game like straight up on your own, and not many gods can do that. Khepri, I don't like him as much as Geb, but I do like him. Is he here or is he here? I like him more than like Atlas and Artio, to be fair. He's probably up here on like a level of Bacchus and Athena. The two has some nice decision making with it, you know, whether you want to try and like poke and use it for wave clear or throw it on your teammates, or ideally try and do both. The ult is obviously really cool. King Arthur, straight up there. Most fun god in the game in my opinion. I know I said this at the start of the video, but definitely overtaken Bologna and Amaterasu for me now. King Arthur, just so much fun. As Fino said in his video, a lot of the people that hate Arthur have never played him and have just been rolled by him when he was overpowered and have a grudge against him. That's genuinely, like, very true words that were spoken there. Kukulkan, very boring basic mage in my opinion. He can be fun just because, like, the ults do a hell of a lot of damage, but, like, is he as bad as some of these ones? Probably not. I'll drop him in here, but, like, again, a very basic burst mage that, like, can be fun sometimes, but not really that into it. The Fat Man, meh. It's kind of boring. It's just like chain CC people forever, and I get that's kind of like support gameplay, but the way Kumba does it just doesn't interest me that much. The boy, the channel mascot, Kuzumbo, I'll put in can be fun for the simple reason of pushing people through the wave and bursting their entire health bar, and also for the memes, of course, for the memes. Loki, definitely can be fun. I don't think I'm going to put him up here because he's not that good, but like after the rework, I genuinely like Loki a lot. To be honest, I liked him before. I think people complained about Loki way too much before the rework. And if we're talking purely about to play as, I actually enjoyed old Loki more to play as, but new Loki is significantly less frustrating to play against, and I think it's a worth trade-off for the game. You know, to lose some interesting parts of his design and a bit of fun in playing him to, like, alleviate a lot of the pressure that was on other people trying to deal with him. But overall, yeah, I do like Loki's new kit, to be honest. It can be a lot of fun, especially Bruiser from solo. Medusa, pretty boring overall. Pretty basic hunter. Mercury, feels good. I enjoy Mercury. I mean, hitting a Merkle and just like 1000 critting someone with the first basic attack, that's always going to be fun. He's gotten less fun over the years with the interactions with his one kind of being destroyed, but overall still pretty interesting. Merlin. So I'm very bad at Merlin, but I do like Merlin's design. It's whether he's here or here. I feel like I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and put him here. I just don't think I play Merlin enough. I should play him more than I do. I think he's a pretty interesting design, especially with the different stances. Morgan Le Fay up here as well. Probably not quite up here, though it's close. She's a lot of fun to play, to be completely honest. In fact, I enjoy her more than Merlin and Agni. Yeah, she's up here, to be completely honest. She's one of my more favorite mages, along with, like, Baron and Hebo, but not quite as much as those two. Mulan. I'll say can be fun for Mulan. Once you get the abilities leveled up, she is a lot of fun, but in the early game, she feels very slow. Like, her 2, before you rank it up, is literally just, like, half a second of animation and you just slap with a spear. And it's very boring, but once you get that double hit, once you get the triple hit on the one, once you can grapple to wall, she becomes a lot more of an interesting character in terms of like actually playing her in team fights. So I think can be fun is pretty fair for her. Neath, boring. Don't know how people play this god. The only thing that's interesting is the ult, and not any Neath players even know how to use the ult correctly. So like, I don't even get it. Nemesis, straight up here. One of the more fun assassins for sure. She's, again, a bit like Bologna and Amaterasu, been kind of like power creeps. Not necessarily power creep, but like design creeped in terms of like she's just not that interesting anymore. Like the shield's really cool, the ult is obviously still super useful for tank shred and things like that, but the 2 incredibly basic. The 1, which was like some kind of revolutionary double dash when it was released, like that's just now incredibly basic compared to modern Smite designs. But overall, like Nem is still a super fun design. Like at her core, she's just a lot of fun. You know, you just ult the tank, you go ham on them, you can just go on squishies as well. You can go crit Nem, you can go ability based Nem, you can go more auto attack based Nem. She's pretty flexible with the builds. I just like her a lot. Almost there, probably got about a third of the gods left to do now. Naja is just really boring. I don't like Naja. Again, a bit like Fenrir, one of the only things that was making him interesting was the fact that he had like different play styles. He could play like support, could play solo, could play jungle, but like now he's just kind of getting annihilated out of those roles by high-res and narrow-minded god design. So like it kind of it is a bit of a rough one His kit's just not that interesting to me. Nike, incredibly boring. Tempting to put it down here. Like, you're just invincible. You never die with the ult. Like, you can just save the ult if you ever want to and just like, refuse to die. You just have infinite wave clear. You pretty much have everything you need, but it's like, she's just boring. I don't know how to explain why Nike's boring, but I just never have fun when I play her. Like, Nox, I'll put her in meh. I wouldn't say she's boring to play. Like, my main problem with Nox is that she's frustrating to play against. To play as, she's like, okay. She's just too reliant on the combo, as I said, which is a point for both playing against and playing as her. Because when you're playing as her, if you miss your combo, you feel a bit useless. But definitely more interesting in support, in my opinion, than she is in mid. And it's nice to see Nox finally getting some actual legit support play now. I've been saying for years that she's like a genuinely good support, arguably better than she is in mid. Nuwa, boring. Just, I mean, the ult is arguably the most boring ability in the entire game. I guess maybe because it gives vision, it's not, you know, you can use the vision for like interesting things like spotting out objective calls and getting picks and things like that. But Odin, boring. Again, a very aged god design that like has been minorly reworked, but still just isn't that cool. Maybe I'll bump him up one tier. He's not as bad as some of the ones down here, because I do like the new 3 in terms of, like, you can choose if you want attack speed to burn objectives, you can choose to get the stun if you want the full damage, that kind of stuff. But, like, Bird Bomb just isn't interesting. The cage has been, like, nerfed / made obsolete by Phantom Shell, and it's just, like, kind of feels a bit weak. Olaron, one I've not played too much. I said I liked Kronos the least out of the magical ADCs, but it might be Olaron, actually. He just doesn't seem that interesting to me, but he's about on the same level as Kronos. Osiris, he's okay. He can be fun. He's just very basic. Like, the 1 is just line damage, the 2 is just circle damage, the 3 is just keep him in range for a stun, the ult's just circle damage. And I guess the anti-heal as well, but yeah. Just not that interesting of a design. Pele, I like Pele. Pele solo, Pele jungle, I'm down for all of it. Even Pele mid, I've done that a few times on my channel, and it actually works pretty well. Really fun with like Soul Eater, CAD Shield style builds in solo, to be honest, with her passive proccing also. Just a fun design overall. Persephone, I don't like Persephone, to be honest. New Persephone is definitely significantly worse to play as than old Persephone. But again, like with Loki, she's arguably easier to deal with, and that's potentially worth sacrificing for the game. I want to put her in Can Be Fun, but I really don't think she is. I played this god, and it's not that interesting, especially anymore. I think before the rework, she would have been up here, but nah. Poseidon, this is going to be a hot take. I think Poseidon's not that fun. He's practically an ult bot. I guess if you're building a bit of attack speed, the 2 can do like a fair bit of damage if you can stick to people, but like the 1's so unreliable to connect unless you're using the 3 and the ult to like confirm it. And the 3 just doesn't really do anything. It's just like a little AoE cripple. You kind of want to combo it with your other abilities. He just feels way too reliant on the ult, and like once you've dropped it, you don't really do much. Ra's just a classic, to be honest. I like the fact that he has healing. The ult snipe's always going to be fun. The 1's pretty basic, but it gets the job done, I guess. He could have some more interesting things added to his kit for sure, but it definitely feels good to play Ra. Rama, meh. Only redeeming quality is the ult, to be honest. I would rather see them like rework him into an ability-based hunter and just keep the ult and then give him some more ability-based like first ones to maybe combo off of him and things like that in like an Ula-style playstyle. I think that would genuinely be more interesting. Just because I think Rama's base kit is like one of the most boring base kits in the entire game. Rat's pretty cool. It can be fun. Old Rat, like release Rat, I mean, was definitely more fun. I think the Acorns were more varied and more interesting back then than they are now, and they've kind of been like watered down a little bit, but Rat can still definitely be a lot of fun. It's just his actual abilities themselves are very basic. Like, he has the depth in the Acorns, but no depth in the actual abilities. It's just like line damage, spin damage, cone damage, AoE damage, and knockup. Like, it's not that interesting. Raven has actually been rising in the ranks for me. I really like Raven a lot. I'm tempted to put him up here now, both as a solo laner and a jungler, surprisingly. Like, Soul Eater CAD Shield, Raven solo actually works pretty well. He has the 2 for immunity, which is perfect for his kind of like all-in, like, chasing people kind of playstyle. Like, you can use that to continue to chase, deal damage to people, immune important abilities and CC and stuff like that. Diving the backline is just so much fun on Raven. The ult feels so impactful. The 1's on a nice low cooldown, so you can keep spamming it. Even his basic attacks can hit fairly hard. You know, you got like Redstone or something, you get that 50% attack speed. You can like be chunking with those autos, getting more shields from your passive and all that kind of stuff. Just a really cohesive kit. And to be honest, considering Raven's release date, I'm very happy with where they've got him to at this point. Scylla, probably also up here, one of my more favorite mages. She's lower than I think every other mage in this tier, maybe by Janus, but she's still definitely one of my more favorite mages. Just the ability to 1-2 people when they die, the ult multi-kills, like, it's classic Scylla. Serket, not that interesting to me. to be completely honest. I do like the idea of the poisons, but it sometimes feels a little weird because like, you can't be using basic attacks in between abilities, which is how assassins get a lot of their damage, especially ability-based ones. But again, another assassin that could be a lot more interesting if they just rolled with it and didn't try and just delete her out of the support role with force, like do it a little bit more of an interesting way, but that's the way they want to go about it, and it's made her a less interesting design in my opinion. Set, really cool god. I'm trash at him, but I really like the idea of Set. I think he's really cool in terms of like he just snowballs, dives on the back line. Like the ult is really interesting that it uncaps the passive. I like the idea with the multiple spawn clones, like sniping with like 6 on skewer and getting that huge burst damage. Like he's a very combo heavy character and like synergistic, and I like that a lot. Skadi, just delete the game, fucking dogbot looking ass. Sobek is definitely a feels good god in my opinion. Like the pluck is always just going to feel great and it usually ends up in a kill. The mana regen on the ult is like a really cool mechanic that I think is underrated on Sobek. Like the fact that you can just be low on mana and maybe have to back in solo or even support and just ult for like half your mana back, clear the whole wave and get pressure, and in that way is pretty cool. His 3 and 2 are very boring, but that's just because he's like an antiquated design that doesn't really have that much in his kit. But overall, like he's still very powerful. The pluck is still going to kill someone. Like it's Sobek. Sol, definitely one of my more favorite magical ADCs. In fact, probably my favorite, I would say. Whether she's up here or not, she probably is. She's like on the same level as Scylla and Yana. Wukong, so boring, dude. This god just never dies. You just get out of jail free card with your ultimate, get out of jail free card with your bird, like infinite poke with the one, infinite wave clear with the one from infinitely far away. I really don't like the way this god plays in the learning phase. He's a little more interesting in team fights, but just overall not that fun. Susanoo can be fun, but a lot of his like depth comes from the fact that he can AA cancel, and that's actually a more basic thing than a lot of people think. It's not really that cool, like being able to AA cancel twice in one ability. Like it is nice and stuff, but he doesn't even have the best AA cancels in the game. Like Nem has the best AA cancel in the game in my opinion with her shield. Like it's literally instant, whereas I guess Susanoo's TP is a pretty good one, but the AA cancels on the one are actually not that good. They're pretty clunky. Sylvanas, just not that interesting to me. Very easy to get picked on this god because of his low mobility and just low movement speed in general. Terra's pretty cool. I'd say can be fun. Thanatos can be fun or feels good. Probably feels good. I do enjoy playing a Thana from time to time. Just that high pressure early game snowball. Sometimes that's kind of what you're in for in Smite. Morrigan feels good as well. Not quite up here in my opinion, but I can definitely get along with the Morrigan. Thor's up here. Just a really cohesive, well-designed god in my opinion. Obviously, he's been suffering a little bit in the same way that Bellona, Amaterasu, Nemesis in a way have been suffering, and that he's quite an old god and he could do with getting potentially even another update on top of the minor rework that he had a little while back. But still just a really fun god, you know, the ult combo, just the double taps, the stuns, all a lot of fun really. Thoth, I kind of like the artillery mage gameplay, where he's like always firing from massive range, trying to keep himself safe. The dash is a lot of fun. More fun when it's stunned, in my opinion, but potentially too broken. I can see why they would have removed it. Tiamat, I have not played enough of this god to comment, to be completely honest. I barely played this god, only like a few games, but she seemed okay when I played her. She's just got a lot to like learn, effectively. If you're down for a character with a lot to learn, then Tiamat can be fun. So I think I'll drop her in here. Tsukuyomi feels good. I do like Tsukuyomi. Absolutely rolling people with him at release. It's probably like part of the reason I have a positive opinion of him, but still, I do enjoy the god a lot. Crit Tsukuyomi, gang, rise up. Tyr, to play as, is like up here, straight up. Tyr is like one of those very polarizing characters where he's so much fun to play, but being on the receiving end of a Tyr, especially like a speedy Tyr, like this god just destroys people. The amount of healing, the amount of CC and displacement, the amount of mobility, like he's impossible to kill. He's so slippery, he gets in your backline so easily, pushes people out of position. He's just a menace, but when you're playing as him, that's a lot of fun. Ula, definitely up here, my most favorite hunter by far. As I said earlier in the video, ability-based hunters are definitely my jam more than auto attack hunters are. I believe he's the only hunter up here actually, isn't he? Yeah, and he'll probably remain that way. Hunter's by far my least favorite class, and Ula's one of the few ones that really stands out to me as like an actually cool design that I enjoy playing. The mana, meh. Not that interesting. Like, yeah, his ult does a lot of things so that it's actually useful, but it's just not that interesting to just go big and beat on people. I guess it's kind of cool, but like, I don't know. Vulcan, I like Vulcan a lot. I would say it like feels good. It feels really good to hit the meatballs into ones, the max range ults, all that kind of stuff. Jubilanke, less interesting when they made his ult way less impactful with the stun removal. His 2's boring, his 3's kind of boring. His 1 could honestly just be like a passive or tagged onto a different ability and he could have something else. Could definitely be made more interesting. A pretty old god though, so that kind of makes sense. Xingqian, a bit basic for me, but not terrible. I'll put him in meh. Yamoja, I'll put Yamoja in can be fun. She's a similar situation to Tiamat where I don't play Yamoja that much and there's a lot to learn with her and I'm not the best at her, but like the times I have played her, she's been pretty fun. Ymir feels good. Ymir's like a classic feels good guardian, like getting perfect walls, hitting those freezes, like he does a lot of damage, just a lot of fun. Zhonghui can be fun. In the right meta with the right build where Zhonghui's actually dominant and you can build him kind of bruiser, I like him a lot. As a full damage mage, not so much, but like when he's solo viable, I like Zhong. Zeus, hella boring. You just 2-1 over and over again. Maybe drop your ult if someone ever gets CC'd. He's just one of the more boring burst mages in my opinion. Also hella boring to play against. It's just like dive him and kill him immediately or he's going to win the team fight for his team on his own. And finally Shiva. To play as Shiva, he's really fun. Playing against him, not so much, but that could just be because he's so overpowered right now. He's definitely not up here, but like he's a feels good god. I'm enjoying Shiva right now. And that's it for the full tier list. The god cards are like huge, so I can't really get the whole thing on the screen, but that's the best I can do for you. Hopefully that's good enough. RIP mobile users, but we'll zoom back in. I'm going to order this first tier, just because I think it makes sense, and maybe the bottom tier as well, just so you know what my absolute favorite and absolute least favorite gods are. I'm not going to bother with these middle tiers, because these are all just like gods that are kind of dumped in there, but... King Arthur being up there is fine. Bellona is fine. Amaterasu's fine. Awilix probably should come down a little bit. Erlang Shen up a little bit. Hebo up a lot, like maybe here. Hercules up as well. In fact, Hercules over these two now, in my opinion. I actually like Herc a lot right now. Janus goes way down, for sure. Morgan Le Fay goes way down. Raven goes way down. Scylla goes way down. This doesn't look too bad, actually. This seems about right. Maybe Raven behind Scylla. In fact, maybe Scylla in front of these two. You know what? I hate to say it, but Amaterasu's just not as fun anymore. I think I'm going to drop her down to like here. Bellona can stay, because I always liked Bellona more than I did Amaterasu in general, but I think this is about right now in terms of order. Maybe Thor moves up slightly. I think Thor's more fun than Nemesis right now, but not more fun than Awilix. Maybe Ula moves up ahead of those two. In fact, maybe Ula moves up a fair bit. Not more fun than Awilix. In fact, yes, more fun than Awilix, but not more than Geb. In fact, yes, more than Geb. Not more than any of these, though. And yeah, as you can see, obviously a lot of physicals, a lot of assassins and warriors. That's kind of my jam. We've only got like 3 mages and a magical ADC plus a Geb. Oh no, 4 mages. 5 mages, actually. And then just like a fair bit of like warriors and assassins in general. 1, 2... I mean, Erlang, do we just count him as an assassin at this point? Like, he basically is. But let's order the bottom tier as well. So these are like some of my very least favorite gods. Aphrodite goes to the bottom, obviously. Arachne goes behind Aphrodite. Baccha behind that. I like Skadi more, not like he's an army. Yeah, I think this is about right. But yeah, again, we'll zoom out. That's my full fun tier list for Smite. Completely objective, of course. No one's allowed to disagree. These are the most fun gods. Everyone must play these gods always. And yeah, let me know if you have any other interesting tier list ideas that I could do in the future, and I will catch you guys in another one later on. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.